The next unit we're going to tackle considers social institutions. We considered theory in the first unit and historical and socio-political theories in the second unit. In this unit about social institutions, we'll be thinking a little deeper about social life. Social institutions are somewhat the framework of social life. Social institutions exist in order to create a structure for solving the basic needs of society. More on that when we open our PowerPoint slides. Be ready to think about why families, religion, and the media exist, and how they frame our social world in regards to human sexuality. We start this unit by considering what exactly is a social institution. This is a concept that sociologists use to help us to understand that all societies have basic or essential tasks that must be fulfilled in order for society to function. So every society has a means in which it assures that certain things occur. Every society has certain functions that must be addressed in order for that society to survive, let alone thrive. Social institutions make sure that critical tasks that are necessary for survival occur, and our social institutions organize, direct, and execute those tasks. Need children raised? A place to drop your weary body after securing the basic necessities for life? We have families for that. Need a sense of faith? An explanation for things we don't understand? Or a common agreement on right and wrong? Religion steps in. Need to disseminate information to the masses, and even more importantly, promote culture? The media takes care of that. Healthy society? Medicine's there. Pass information on from one generation to the next and create a workforce that can be productive? Education is the institution for that. So institutions organize, they direct, and they execute the essential tasks of living. Our institutions are built, they are designed to solve standardized problems that all societies need to assure are solved. Let's think about the institution of the family. Why do we have families? Even though families may change over time and may be different from one culture to the next, every society has families. If a child doesn't have a traditional family, someone or some entity, maybe even the state, has to step in to handle the problem. The basic problem is that human beings are born incredibly fragile. They simply cannot survive on their own for many years, and adults have to take care of the child until it's old enough to take care of itself. And in some places that might be earlier or later than others. But every society not only has to physically care for their young, but they also have to nurture and socialize them too. So the family is built to care for the child emotionally, and it's the first place where the child is socialized and introduced to the norms, the values, and the culture of that society. Religion helps us solve a multitude of social problems. The inexplicable or unexplainable and the traumatic events that happen to us. Religion gives us rules to live by, and it tells us what the social guidelines should be, meaning our morals, or what sociologists might also call mores. As I've said before, in the past century, the religious model of understanding the world around us has shifted to the scientific model. Remember, we discussed that in the previous unit, how the society had shifted from a religious model of labeling homosexuality to a medical model. So we solve many problems now by turning to science rather than religion to find the answers. Now, institutions, they're complex. We cannot really make any valid blanket statements about how institutions guide us into our social roles, our beliefs, our values. They're far more complex than that. But we don't have enough time to really dig down and do a very in-depth analysis of these three institutions we're looking at. Indeed, there are more than these three, but I picked three to analyze. By looking at the family, religion, and the media, I thought we'd get some idea. We'd be talking in terms of broad generalizations too, so we'd lose some accuracy by doing that. But the simpler statements that looking at these three institutions will give us, They give us some ability to examine and to talk about human sexuality using the framework of social institutions as a starting point for discussion. Some, in fact many sociologists would call the family the first unit of socialization. This is where, for most of human history, reproduction would take place. It's also the first unit of socialization, the first place the child learns about what it is to be a human being and part of a social group, albeit the family is a smaller social group. So it's like an intermediary between the self and the rest of the world. The family, it socializes the child, and as the first place where this starts to occur, the family, to some extent, is indoctrinating the child to how society works and what it expects of them. So you could call the family the young child's chief cultural transmitting agency. Talking about institutions, looking at this kind of phenomenon, it begs us to use a certain paradigm now, doesn't it? That would be structural functionalism, because this paradigm, it would be asking, what are the functions of society? And so also, to understand a social institution, you would want to know what functions it serves. That's part of the structural functionalist analysis. So what is that institution supposed to do? It cares for, it protects, it provides emotional support for the members of the family. There is face-to-face interaction, and it happens on a daily basis. And also, social status, it's given to the members of the group. Children get the social status of their parents or family, the status they're born into. And in young children, and to some extent in adolescence, it also regulates sexual behavior. So you might want to look briefly at the last slide and consider the questions on it and what kind of influence did your family have on you regarding your sexual behavior. Your answers will probably differ, and even if your family was not directly influential because they took a hands-off approach, their decision to do that still had influence on you because they allowed you to learn about it somewhere else.